You. So, real quick, I don't want to hold y'all too long. So, I've spoken about having antisocial personality disorder, and I've spoke about it in, uh, a good amount of detail. But the thing about personality disorders is that, and when I say this isn't the exception; it's the rule. You rarely have one personality disorder, or should I say, you rarely fit criteria for only one. Or at the very least, you have strong traits of other personality disorders. So, my main diagnosis is antisocial personality disorder, but I also have borderline personality disorder traits and narcissistic personality disorder traits. Now, if we're speaking technically, I fit full diagnostic criteria for BPD and NPD. But here's the thing, and this is why I emphasize that you fit full criteria for multiple personality disorders, but you don't really have three, four personality disorders. You have one cohesive personality, and in uh, relation to personality pathology, it's all interwoven, intertwined. So, especially if we're speaking from a dimensional model or approach, where it's not like a categorical model where it is or it isn't. There's levels. So, categorically, I have ASPD, BPD, NPD, and traits of schizotypal personality disorder. Um, but not full diagnostic threshold for schizotypal. But that's confusing. It's misleading, um, especially if you're a clinician and you're conceptualizing it. So it's antisocial personality disorder. That's the main overarching pattern, and then the borderline and narcissistic um, traits are kind of interwoven into that. Okay, so that's what leads me to this as far as narcissism. Now, the typical, you could say, phenotype of narcissism is the grandiose narcissism. Arrogance, seeking praise, fantasies of success, power, being loved, needing praise. I might have said that already. Lack of empathy, of course, but that's characteristic of all narcissism in general. Pathological narcissism, there's always a lack of empathy. Um, and exploitiveness, which again, you can see how these things um, kind of like overlap, and why antisocial, narcissistic, borderline, and histrionic are all in the same cluster. It's called cluster B because they share traits. Like, you see the lack of empathy in NPD and ASPD. You see the, what I say, exploitativeness. That's similar to the manipulation you see in ASPD. So I don't have the typical grandiose presentation of narcissism. Now, you usually see, like, in addition to grandiose narcissism, there's a thing called vulnerable narcissism, which is in presentation very similar to borderline personality disorder, with the emotional reactivity and sensitivity to rejection and criticism. But to be honest, Every narcissist is, to some extent, grandiose and vulnerable. You know what I mean? It's not really one or the other. Like grandiosity and the almost terror at the aspect of not being special. That's the vulnerability. At least that's how I would put it. But, there's other subtypes of narcissism. And the way my narcissism manifests is in what is called cerebral narcissism. So, background. Since I was little, like 3-4 years old, I was always considered to have a gifted intelligence. And that is, what I value the most in the world is my mind. My ability to recognize patterns, take in information, synthesize it, create new insights, and come to conclusions, and just this love of learning. And yeah, it does come from having a naturally high intellectual capacity, but my almost like obsessive pursuit of knowledge comes from both a place of overpraise for my intelligence, where I rely on that more than anything, but also an insecurity. Again, that's the vulnerable aspect of narcissism. An insecurity that comes from growing up in chaos and confusion. And the confusion, like, is just from not knowing what's going to happen, being punished for things you didn't do, just being treated bad overall. And just being in a position where not knowing is dangerous, because like with the law, you can't get away with breaking the law by claiming ignorance. And a lot of times I would simply not know something, and I couldn't have done better because I didn't know, but I was punished as if I did know, because the view was you were supposed to know. So this pattern of cerebral narcissism, it's heavily ingrained. So now let's look at like some of the key themes of what constitutes cerebral narcissism. Overvalues intelligence and abstract reasoning. Low affective empathy, rationalizes emotions. My therapist said that to me almost word for word, that I rationalize my emotions. Cold, aloof, prefers debates over emotional engagement. I can't really engage people emotionally. Or rather, I don't sit and feel with people. See, that's my it's like a disability to me. I can't feel what you're feeling. I can't be there emotionally with you. If you're displaying emotions, I have to use my mind in order to understand and dissect it. To understand. That's cognitive empathy, but not affective or emotional empathy. I don't have it. Or, I probably had moments of it, fleeting moments, but it's just not. It's just a muscle that just never got used, so it's weak and flabby, and might as well not be there. Rational, strategic, emotionally disengaged. Or again, So, okay, let's say you come to me with a problem, and your problem is causing you stress, and you're like venting to me about it. If I feel like your problem is fixable and that there's a course of action you could take, I don't sit there and say, "Oh, Muffin, oh." But I look at it as though you have an issue that's causing an emotion that's unpleasant. So let's get to the root of the issue and solve this so you don't feel that anymore. That's how I, you know, that's how I try to be there for you, to help you. I'm not the feeling type person. And then we have this high overconfidence, poor metacognitive insight. Now, so basically, here are the things I get called all the time. Now, positive, of course, you get called like a genius, and you're so intelligent. How do you know this shit? But almost as often, I get called things like, cold, arrogant. You always think you're right. And now this will sound arrogant and grandiose in itself. I'm usually right. Now, what that means is I, again, have this obsessive need to know things. And I overthink and I analyze and I dissect it and I synthesize. So when I say that I know something, I've really stress tested it cognitively. So I know it like I know the sky is blue, and I try not to speak on things that I don't know. So when I'm saying something with confidence, that's usually what it is. And I try to be very sound in my reasoning and also present facts, you know. But I have an emotional blind spot. I don't really consider how I come off to other people, how the tone of my voice, whether or not what I'm saying or if I might be proving the other person wrong is embarrassing to them, or they feel belittled or demeaned, and you know, those are the things people say to me, like, you make people feel stupid, like when you're explaining something you have no patience. Funny enough, though, I don't go through life or particularly social interactions with the idea in my mind that I'm smarter than everyone. Because again, I feel like I could learn from everybody. I feel like I just want to know the truth. If you could tell me something I didn't know before, like, I don't want to say it'll make me love you, but the gratitude will be like, you know, insurmountable. And when I'm not correct, I want to be corrected. When I don't know, I want to be informed. But again, people don't notice this as much as they notice the times where you are like mentally beating them into submission with your intellect. And, you know, again, that's not my intention to make people feel stupid, but because, again, there's such a drive in my mind to be knowledgeable, to be reasonable and logical and rational and factual. It helps create this distance between me and other people, and this detachment, and this isolation, you know. And yeah, most people would never think that I was narcissistic. And in the way that they're thinking, I'm not. You know, I don't present as grandiose and look at me and needing praise. But do I want to look smart? Do I want to look like I know shit? Yeah, 100%. Look at what I'm doing right now. You know, when I revealed my diagnosis to people, I had so many people like, or just about anybody I told, like, wow, it's so great that you're like aware and you're working on yourself. And they're not wrong. It's very good that I have awareness, but that doesn't make me special. I just happen to be smart. I just happen to be, I get relatively speaking, high functioning. I don't really like that term. It's not really a thing when we're talking about these disorders. You're not functioning with these disorders. But anyway, but yeah, I'm smart. I could function. I have what you could call overdeveloped ego, and that's not in the terms you're thinking. This is more related to Freudian id, ego, superego. But you know, my ability to rationalize and plan and, you know, use my logic. But I'm self-aware because I love to learn about a lot of different topics: psychology, philosophy, spirituality, mysticism, esotericism. I just like to learn things and find things out. And guess what? Guess what my favorite subject is? Myself. I'm obsessed with myself. And I'm obsessed with knowledge. So guess what the natural conclusion to that was? To find out about myself. So yeah, cerebral narcissism. You can say that's a facet of my personality structure. This antisocial, borderline, narcissistic, schizotypal structure. I said this was going to be short. It really wasn't, but shit, at least it's less than 20 minutes. But it really wasn't quick, so I lied. But, you know, hopefully you stuck around a little bit. Hopefully my, you know, disjointed, rambly, ranting style didn't push you away or turn you off. And you know, maybe you learned something, I hope. But, you know, like this shit, share this shit. Subscribe to this shit if you're into this shit. And yeah, thank you. Go ahead and comment. Please start a dialogue with me, so I'm not just, you know, yelling into the void like I usually am, watching everybody get glazed over because they don't know how to respond to what I'm saying. Say some shit to me. But yeah, man, enjoy your evening. Peace out.